The Denver Broncos have never defeated the Vegas Raiders, and that is a crazy statement to say, but that all changes this week as the Las Vegas Raiders come to town. We've put the D back in Denver. In this video, I get a chance to talk to the biggest content creator in all of Raider Nation, Graphk Raider. I went behind enemy lines. The link to this full video and this full live is in the description. We break down key matchups, how the Denver Broncos come out on top, what's the keys to victory for both teams, and both of our final score predictions. Massive shout out to Graphk Raider, his community for not completely roasting me. Let's let it breathe.
And we both need a win desperately, and especially with the Raiders and AP, man, dealing with this Davante Adams situation. You know, there's a lot of noise, and toxicity around our team right now. And I know that, a lot of our players are they're gonna get around the other leaders. Maxx Crosby is definitely out there getting them all together today, and I'm getting them prepared for Sunday. But this is a must-win game for both of us in Week 5, man. You guys got the alumni thing going on out there, and this is not a shocker that you did a Raider week. Like, this is the week that they're like, these eight wins in a row. It has to stop now. The bleeding has to stop now. Yep. So I know why they did that. This means a lot to both fan bases. I want to just get a final score. We're not out of here yet. We're still going to talk a little bit, but give me a projected score with this game. And be honest, I don't want to hear Bo Nix throwing for 6-7 touchdowns, because I'm not going to say Minshew's going to do it. I want an honest assessment of what you got projected as a score.
I think we win. I think if Crosby's in, because when I was doing it earlier in the week, if he's in, and I just saw a thing on Twitter where he's doing the Steph Curry like Euro step, and I'm like, crap, dude. Yeah. If he's in, I think the Broncos win 24-21, and if he's not, I think we beat you as handily as we beat Tampa Bay.
Whoa! So without Max, you blowing us out at home.
Oh yeah, without Max, I think we'll blow you out. I really do.
Wow.
But the thing that gives me pause is last week when you were down 10-0, I turned on that game. And also, like you saying, like, oh, our offense isn't good. Cleveland's defense is an incredible defense, dude. And you came back 10-0 on them.
Oh, no.
I think
they were the number one defense in the league, I believe, last year.
Yes. And so to do that and to Baltimore, I think you're short credit, or like not giving all the credit that you probably should.
Okay.
And so that's what gives me pause. I just think my hope is that, like, if we can get up early, all the drama, all the Edgar Allan Poe stuff, all the NCAA sanctions, all of that, like they just give up. And altitude, first game, it's pretty early in the season. Broncos usually have a really huge home field advantage in September. Guys aren't in as good a shape at that point, and Sean Payton is the winningest coach in the month of October. So I just hope if we get up early that we blow it out. But the thing that gives me pause is Cleveland was up early on you last week, and I was expecting you guys to phone it in, and you didn't, after business decisions and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be
Sean Payton is the Kirk Cousins of October in coaching.
Mr. Primetime. It's a fact, a cold hard fact. What are you thinking, man? What's your score prediction?
I have a low scoring game. This is, to me, is going to be, I can't say that low. Okay, this is a divisional game. Both teams are going to be up for it. I have like a 20-17. 20-17. I got Daniel Carlson, field goal as time expires, to beat you guys a mile high.
Oh, dude, I would take a sick day for a roundtable. I couldn't handle that, man. Because our seasons, like, I know you say this is a must win for both, but it's way more must win for us because we haven't had hope in 8 years. Nobody expects Gardner Minshew to be the quarterback of your future. You're going to get a first-round pick for Davante. You're like set.
We would be lucky to get a first-round pick. To be honest, Ben, I think we end up with a third and like a fifth or something, bro.
Dude, that is garbage.
It's because of the contract, because he's going to have to restructure some things, move some. If it wasn't for his age and that massive contract, which is $40 million next year, $40 million the following year, that's tough to move, man. You know what I mean? Now the Jets, if they're really that desperate to say we're going all in with Aaron Rodgers this year and potentially next year, and we need Davante, we might be able to finesse him out of something. You know what I mean? But I don't see that really happening. I think if at best we get a third and a player, at worst we maybe get like a third and potentially a later round pick.
You'll get, if that's the offer, dude, Broncos should send it, man. I'm telling you, dude, like that, he is worth so much. I'd be furious if I only got a third for him.
But why should our defense, with Maxx Crosby returning to practice today as well, looks like he will play this weekend? I want to ask you, 660 yards passing, okay? Completion rate of 60.1. 1 touchdown this season, 4 picks, passer rating of 62.5. Why should we be afraid of Bo Nix and Sean Payton this Sunday at Mile High?
Well, I think it's how much Sean Payton trusts him. And I know you and I will clash on this, but I think Bo leave. That's what I like to see.
My guy is a Jaguars fan, and he is probably the first or second, maybe right behind you, Bo Nix fan, the biggest fan ever. So salute to my boy East Coast Grid.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, I think how much Sean Payton trusts in him and the fact that he's just given him the keys to this car, and it's probably not the best philosophy, but he's letting him just air the ball out. He's been on pace for throwing the ball 50 times a couple of times. And I think if you look at last week's game against the Jets, that's a really good defense. And the hurricane rain made its way up from North Carolina into New York. And he looked like he was throwing like a greased watermelon, or he didn't throw it well. Neither did Aaron Rodgers. And I think he'll bounce back. And our running game finally started going last week.
But you're at the bottom of the barrel in terms of offense. Why should we be afraid of you guys offensively? I'm looking right now. The Chargers, Titans, Bears, Browns, and Patriots are the only worse teams than you guys offensively in the NFL. And that says a lot because we're a few higher than you, and our offense has been stagnant all year long. Why should we be afraid of this offense come Sunday?
Yeah, I think all respect, but I do think this is an easier defensive matchup than we've had, knowing that we had to play the Steelers, we had to play the Jets, who's, a terrifying defense. So I think this is a better matchup defensively, with Wilkinson and Crosby. That's still scary, but I think we will try to get to a balanced running approach. And if Javonte can be the Javonte he was his year, he did lose 12 pounds this offseason, and his lack of production early on, he faced a stacked box more than any running back in the league. No other running back had a stacked box more than 50% of the time, and 64% of his runs through the first 4 weeks were against 8-man boxes. And so the Jets didn't do that, and we finally had a run game. So are y'all bringing the heat, or are you just trusting Wilkinson? And
I think we're going to bring the heat. I do. But, Max dealing with that ankle injury. I don't know how many reps he's honestly going to get if he does play this Sunday. Charles Snowden, our young pup, went out there and balled out for us last week. He's at the top of the league in terms of pressures this past week. So Christian Wilkins was all over the place. But I think Patrick Graham's going to send the farm. I mean, look, Bo Nix is a rookie, man. He's 5 games in. Look, try to get him as terrified as possible. When you got Max coming off one edge, then you know what that looks like. That's terrifying for a young rook. If we're the Raiders, what should we be targeting offensively? Like what is in your eyes, what is that weak spot on the offensive side of the ball? Your O-line has been a pleasant surprise, low key. You're dealing with some injuries as well, right?
Yeah. So Mike McGlinchey, who we gave the bag to, and then he was kind of nicknamed Mike McFlinchy because he hadn't been playing well. And so we have a brand new right tackle in Alex Palchevsky. But even with that, last week we were the second best pass blocking unit in the league. Mm-hmm. But man, if I were you guys, we have not seen the footwork from Bo Nix. I think you make him you guard the short sticks and make him throw over the middle, because that was what Russell Wilson couldn't do. And we still haven't seen it from Bo. I think it can be there. We just, it's all Bo Leaf at this point. We haven't actually seen it. I think you look at how we played against Tampa to go in and beat them and put 26 points up on them. And but that defense isn't as good as yours. And they were without Vita Vea. And so
either way, I mean, you killed them. Doesn't really matter. You play against who's out there. And this week, we're without Devontae Adams. We're not going to go too deep into this situation because we know he's on the way out. There's some guys on this offense that you may not be too familiar with. I know you're an AFC West guy. You're a football guy. But Trey Tucker, man, this guy has been a stud for us. He is our speedster. He's a guy that is going to take the top off of a defense. With Surtain out there, man, what is that? What do you guys look like thus far in coverage in terms of the passing game?
That's our strength. My fear, and last week, y'all just targeted Brock Bowers 3 times. I hope you do that again, because we need you to only do that, because we just have not had to play against the tight end. That has always been where we struggle. I feel like Surtain has locked down the best receivers in the league over the first 4 weeks, and knowing that he doesn't have to play Devontae is great. I feel like a bigger tight end like Brock would just manhandle him, and tight ends can get away with pushing in a way that wide receivers can't,
Yeah.
And so I think that would be the way to attack is like, if you get the run game going, your running backs out too, though, right? You're
Bruce is
missing.
doubtful, but to be honest, man, Alexander Madison has been the better running back up to this point. You know, he has 3 touchdowns already on the season. I believe he scored a touchdown the first 3 weeks, back to back to back. He's the better option for us in terms of this blocking scheme. So I'm not too much worried about Zeus. We do have Dylan Lowby, our young 6th rounder out of New Hampshire, who was active for the first time last week, but didn't really get any reps on the offensive side of the ball. He was, in terms of special teams, he was out there. I'm expecting to see him out there as well. And Amir Abdullah.
Like, does Brock block too?
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So he only had a few targets this past week, and we were all pissed off about that. But he blocked his ass off, man. That was one of the main reasons outside of JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, that was finally got some real reps. Robbie kind of got the ground game going last week. First time having over 100 yards rushing. Brock Bowers was out there blocking his ass off. Yeah. So, and I expect you guys to potentially bracket him. So there's a guy that you guys need to keep an eye on this weekend, and his name is Jacoby Myers.
Yep.
Telling you now, great footwork, great route runner. He does all the dirty work, loves to block himself. I'm telling you now, you're going to have to keep an eye on Jacoby, because I have a feeling you guys are going to try and put the clamps on Brock Bowers, which you should, because he's a generational type talent.
Yeah.
So Jacoby Myers is a name you definitely need to keep an eye on this Sunday.
Yeah, there's already a lot of talk that Surtain would just follow him, and that we would try to bracket Brock with Brandon Johnson, who's played real well from Brandon Jones from Miami, who took Pat Surtain's spot, and then Riley Moss, our corner out of Iowa, the only
stud. So Zamir looks doubtful. He looks like he's not going to play. Maxx looks like he's good to go. He's out there in practice, running around like a maniac, doing Maxx things. Dylan Parham, our young guard, returned to practice today as well. He may be good to go. It's going to be good to see him and JPJ together on the football field at both guard spots. He's been one pleasant surprise for us on this O-line this year. We do have a right tackle in DJ Glaze, who's a 3rd rounder this year, a rookie, who's kind of been thrown into the fire. What do you guys look like at terms as that? And I know, but I want the audience to know, at edge rusher. Who should we worry about the most in terms of your edge rushers?
Ooh, that's like a huge strength for us, man. And it's cool because we got dudes who are on short-term IR who are coming back, and that's going to be a loaded position. But we have Jonathan Cooper, number 0 on our team, just a mauler. And he's on a contract year. Everyone in Denver is like, sign him now. Because he's on target to be our first guy who gets 10 sacks in a season since Bradley Chubb, probably since the last time we beat you. Like, it's been that long since we've had a guy with 10 sacks, and he's just living in the backfield. So he's incredible. We got this cat named Nick Benito, who Pat Surtain. Yeah, man. A lot of people compare him to Von Miller, like his bend.
I've even heard, as crazy as it is, and I'm not going to go this far, but I've seen people try to mention the Maxx Crosby comparison with him, and he's nowhere near that.
No,
but
I'd take Maxx over him.
I mean, clear cut, but
for sure, I think he still could develop. And the thing with Maxx is like that he can stop the run. Benito is a 3rd and 7, watch out, but you don't want him in there on first down. And then on the other side, we got Jonah Ellis, who we drafted out of Utah. Yep. Who you saw his brother play last night for the Falcons. You saw his dad played in the league. I think he has one more brother with the Patriots. And as a rookie, he looks great. He's got a dirty spin move and is just living in the backfield too. And then we got this cat out of the UFL, Dondre Tillman, and he had 2 sacks his first game, and he was like the defensive player of the year for the UFL. So we'll see. That I feel really good about that. But the crazy thing with you is your game against the Ravens made me terrified, because that's the best win of the year for any team. Like, offensively and defensively, you scored 1 less point on them than the Kansas City Chiefs did. And I'm like, oh, we're not going to break this streak. And then the next week you lose to the Panthers. So that's why it's just so crazy, because you have the best win and the worst loss in 1 year. And that's pretty rare.
No. In a matter of 7 days.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. Corner wise, you had a guy you held out. Like, how's your secondary looking?
Our secondary looks pretty good. Jack was benched. Jack Jones was benched. the first quarter of this last game for business decisions.
Mm.
He came back and he played well for us. But we have a young kid, Jacorian Bennett, man, out of Maryland, second-year guy. It's been outstanding for us on the other boundary. And then we have one of the better nickel corners and Nate Hobbs as well. So the secondaries look good. We kind of struggled at the safety position a little bit. Trayvon Merrick, a former, one of the best DBs at the collegiate level at TCU, was supposed to be a first-round pick, ended up falling to the second round because of a back injury, which I don't even think really existed. But he struggled this year. And then we just lost our starter, Marcus Epps as well. But Isaiah Palomal, our young UDFA at USC, ball for us last week. So you expect to see him, a lot of him this week, potentially some Chris Smith, the young kid out of Georgia. I think this is his second year. And then hopefully Merrick can show up. But, our DBs have looked good. Our DBs have looked good. This week, we also are starting Tommy Eichenberg, our rookie out of Ohio State. He's a stud with him and Robert Spillane. I love that duo at the linebacker position. So it's going to be kind of difficult to run the football on us, I believe, because Spill and Tommy, man, they can play the run really well, and they can get to the quarterback.
Oh, man. Yeah, because if we don't get that going, I'm worried because Bo hasn't been sacked for 2 weeks in a row, and that has to continue if we want to win, because I think he hasn't had the offensive numbers of Russell Wilson, like yardage-wise, but Sean Payton said the thing that drove him most nuts about Russell Wilson was all the unnecessary sacks he took. And so while Bo only had 60 yards in the air last week, we got sacked 0 times. And if our run doesn't get going, we're dropping back to pass. And Maxx Crosby, I mean, I have flashbacks of when Khalil Mack had all those. It just seems like you are always in our backfield. And there's something about this matchup, dude. And if you beat us this week, it will take all the air out of our sails, man, because this is like our Super Bowl already, because we haven't had.
Yeah, I heard you guys are having your alumni weekend as well, right?
Yeah, dude. So it's
personal.
Yeah, they're doing the throwback to 1977. So we're wearing the blue helmets with this on, the throwbacks we get 2 times a year, and redid the field. Like, it looks sick. And I think people are expecting us to run through you, and if that doesn't happen, I think it completely changes the narrative on our year.
Salute to our brother Jake as well, covers the chart at the AFC.
I know him. What's up, my man?
Salute to my guy Jake. Salute to Brock Bowers once again on the 5-hour special. This show is brought to you by Keeps. Keeping your hair has never been so easy. Salute to you, Brock. Salute to my guy. Defensive side of the ball, I mean, I'm not even going to go Max, because we already know the defense goes as Max goes, but we found a way to win last week without him. I think it starts with Christian Wilkins. I want to see some pressure up the middle. I truly do. I think Wilkins needs to have a big game, especially with Max, dealing with that ankle injury. Like I said, I don't know how many reps Max is actually going to get. I think that AP is going to kind of rotate him in and out. I don't think they're going to rush him out there like that, because a high ankle sprain, you know how that is, Ben. That can linger for a long time. So I'm going to go with Christian Wilkins on the defensive side of the ball. I think at linebacker, it starts with Robert Spillane. He's led us in tackles damn near every week. He is a leader of that defense. At the linebacker position, he's been phenomenal for us in coverage, which we were actually shocked about that, because when he came over from the Pittsburgh Steelers in free agency, we labeled him a thumper, and he's been a really great cover linebacker for us thus far. And he plays the run well, and he can actually blitz and get to the quarterback. Those two guys I'm looking at very closely. I'm not too worried about the passing game. That's no knock on you. I don't think that Jack Jones and Jacorian Bennett are going to get too much work. I truly don't. I think those guys set the tone for us defensively. Brock Bowers, clear cut for me, is the difference maker on the offensive side of the ball. If you get him going, I think we can absolutely run we can run over you guys.
Yeah, you can.
Brock is that good. But Colton Miller, our left tackle, he has struggled all year long coming off of a shoulder injury. We need that old Colton Miller back. If he can play well for us on the left side and protect Gardner Minshew's blind side, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be fine. But a lot rides on Colton Miller, because y'all defensive line is stacked, bro.
Yeah.
Like, they're stacked. And I'm worried about Gardner going down a lot this upcoming Sunday if Colton Miller can't play his role. So he's still hurt a little bit, banged up. Like I said, shoulder surgery this offseason. And he's been like a cusp Pro Bowl, all pro kind of player damn near his whole career outside of his rookie year where he struggled with injuries. So Colton Miller, Brock Bowers, and then I'll throw another wild card out there. I think Alexander Madison, because we got to get the run game going. If we can't get the run game going, I think we're in for a long long day because I cannot count on Gardner Minshew to throw against that stout Denver defense.
Yeah.